did, whatever urban legend he amplifies, right now it's about people eating cats or geese or whatever, because he cannot afford for us to be talking about his record. He doesn't want us talking about the fact that we lost manufacturing jobs on his watch, even before COVID, which is why the United Auto Workers are against him. He doesn't want us talking about the fact that his main economic policy promise he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. He doesn't want us talking about how he demolished the right to choose in this country, that he's the reason that even IVF could be banned in many places in this country. The last thing he wants us to do is to talk about his record or his agenda. So what he wants us talking about is whatever crazy nonsense he can thrust into the center of the internet and the media conversation, which this week happens to be the stuff about eating cats or dogs or geese or whatever.
So you think it's just a distraction technique?
Yeah, I mean, but it's one that isn't harmless, right? It's affecting this community, and it contributes to this bigger picture of demonizing immigrants. But again, this is strategic. I don't give him credit for much, but whether it's this, whether it's blurting out a racist remark in a auditorium full of black journalists, as he did a few weeks ago, whether it's choosing 9/11 of all days to invite a 9/11 truther who said it was an inside job with him, right? All of these things are to a purpose. And the purpose is to do something so outrageous that we have to talk about it, that journalists have to go in, if for no other reason than to run it down and debunk it when it's false. And to try to suck up all the oxygen into that so that we're not talking about his profoundly unpopular policy agenda, Project 2025, and all of the failures of his actual time in office.
1,000% correct. I mean, there is this false mentality that Democrats make the mistake about, that Trump is just this loose cannon. He doesn't understand what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He cultivated this group of deplorables into a voting bloc, a group of people no one ever dreamed would ever be a viable voting bloc. He goes out there and does debates and stuff like this and just lies constantly because he knows that they cannot keep up with him if he tells 1,000 lies in 1 hour. And then he does these things. He is one of, to a point, and this is not an admiration, it's a ghastness. He is a master at basically, if bad news is coming down, there is no bottom of the barrel, no gutter that he won't crawl into to do something to get that off the headlines. We saw that back when he was in office and bad news came out about things that he was doing. I mean, he basically would do the equivalent of going out to a podium, dropping his pants and waving his butt at people. And people was like, well, how unpresidential? And he's right. You have to kind of cover that stuff. And he's figured out that all he has to do is be crazy. Buttigieg referenced Laura Loomer, who is the 9/11 conspiracy theorist who Donald Trump welcomed to the 9/11 memorial ceremony. Up there with, let's bring the Taliban to Camp David. Seriously. What in the heck are you thinking of? But that was him. And he did that in case things got ugly between him and Harris and him and Biden. There, he would have her and kind of basically, yeah, exactly. Laura Loomer is a racist. She is just a horrible human being. There is no candy coating her. There is no nuance. And it angers me when the news media talk about she's a firebrand. No, she's a racist. She's a racist. That's how you should introduce her. That's how you should talk about her. She'd be proud of that. Laura Loomer being part of Trump's campaign, you might as well put a guy out there with a sheet and a burning cross, or a guy in full-fledged Nazi gear with a Hitler mustache, because that's what she is. And she's been going crazy these last few days, making sure everyone sees that, with insanely racist posts against Kamala Harris. This is where they are at. And this is why it's terrifying to think that what Trump's second term would look like, is because he's abandoned all attempts to appear presidential in any minor way. his entire cabinet will be Laura Loomers and other people like that who will look at their one opportunity. They learn their lesson. You better get this stuff done, and you better make it airtight. You better get that Supreme Court to back you up, and basically go out there and return to an era where anyone but white Caucasians are secondary citizens in this country. Mass deportations. Women basically being subservient to men. LGBTQ rights gone. I mean, this is who they are bringing in. I want you to focus. Just remember what I said there about this. This is where they're at. When you look at why Trump resonates so much in the areas that he does, rural America. Not everyone in rural America is racist, but a lot of people in rural America are racist. Not all of them. A lot of them are. And this is how he keeps them on board, because some guy who's a farmer out in the middle of Southern Illinois who sits there and says, I know everything about those people in Chicago. I can tell you everything what goes on. Some guy out in Yakima, Washington, I know about those people in Seattle. I know what's going on. And the people in out in rural Minnesota going, I know what's going on in the Twin Cities. I know about those people. They don't know a damn thing. But Trump enhances their racial ignorance to a honorable thing. And it is unbelievable that this is where we're at. No, it's not an honorable thing, but Trump makes it honorable. That's why they love him. I bring all this up because I want to get in for the rest of the show about Generation Z, because we've got to have a conversation about that. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Park Tavern has delicious food and great bowling, and this fall, the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio is open and waiting for you. Live music brightens up the patio on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Live music outside makes your evening fun. Reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended, and the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, live music and outdoor fun are back at the Park Tavern.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims, and we'll help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town, fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP. or snapconstruction.com.
True healing happens from within. When you learn to tap into the innate wisdom of your body, transformative healing can begin. Discover the intimate relationship between your mind, body, and nervous system. Learn simple practices that create transformative changes in your body and being. Join us at resolvepainguru.com for your journey into healing from pain, exhaustion, and stress. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Resolve Pain Guru.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It's the Matt McNeil Show. So let me get into Generation Z, okay? And I want to tie it back. Why, what has Donald Trump done with people like Laura Loomer? She is basically there to appeal to a very specific, ugly demographic that is there that they feel they need to appeal to. I want to talk about Generation Z because it is very interesting to see what the Republicans are trying to do here. Now let me read you a story here from earlier this year. Andrew Tate may be facing a mounting number of international charges for alleged sex crimes, but this doesn't mean we've seen the end of masculinity influencers who make big bucks by preying on the insecurities of young men. On Tuesday, Ben Terrace of the Washington Post profiled Nick Adams, the self-described alpha male who wins over young men with his "is he kidding" shtick, focused on the ever-present threat of emasculation supposedly posed by everything from liberals to girlfriends to salmon entrees at restaurants. Like most similar marketers of so-called masculinity, Adams targets young men's fears of loneliness and failure, which are no doubt both real and prevalent, with the false promise that embracing aggressive misogyny is the key to achieving your dreams. Adams has evidently cashed in because he's good at employing faux irony in order to push his message. Terrace, who is an eye on telling details, zeroes on an excellent examples of jokey but serious rhetoric. In one of his swears they're true stories, for instance, Adams describes lecturing a date. You are the supporting cast. I am the main character. I'm the king, and I expect to be treated like that. In a story praising the value of screaming at women, I exploded on her, issuing a correction that rattled her to the core, and that after that, her apology was, shall we say, more enthusiastic. He advises not allowing a female partner to say in how to decorate her own house, except maybe permitting a small area for her to do scrapbooking and host her sewing machine, much like someone giving their dog a doghouse. I thought, as Tetris documents, Adams likes to sow confusion over how serious he is about any of this, telling Terrace at one point that he's playing a character, but then contradicting himself. It's not a character. It's not a bit. It's not trolling. The ambiguity is strategic. To his followers, the core message comes through loud and clear. Misogyny rocks, and you'll get dates, but Adams can deflect at least some criticism, pretending it's all just an elaborate joke. Why do I bring this up? Because there is a new front on the Republican war on eroding the Democratic base, and it involves those guys. One side, you got racists like Laura Loomer. The other side, you've got this new cadre of hyper alpha male douches who basically scream at the top of their lungs about how you need to be a real man. And yeah, sure they're Popeye. Yeah. Generation Z in 2020 did something that no one expected them to do. They showed up to vote at the same levels as all the rest of the generations did, which was not something the Republicans had planned on, and was a major reason why Joe Biden won fair and square over Donald Trump in 2020. There was an immediate, I don't know if you remember, but in the days and the months afterwards, there was a lot of Republicans screaming about, we need to raise the voting age. We need to stop these young people from voting. If you're in college, you can't vote. There are these things that were coming out here, but the Republicans actually came up with a plan. And that is to appeal to the Gen Z male voter. Now, social media, the internet, particularly social media, it's interesting how they're and nothing is absolute. I'm not going to try to paint with a wide brush, but one of the things I found to be, actually enjoyable about social media with Generation Z and millennials and Generation X, for that matter, is that women are emboldened in a different way than they used to be. I mean, I mean, when I was a kid, we were growing up, what was the movie you saw? It was the ugly duckling in school who one day the jock noticed her and she went and got a beauty makeover and he validated her. And then all of a sudden she realized, well, he doesn't really focus on me. I want my old friend back. And there you go. Roll credits. That was the movie. Remember, I mean, my gosh, how many movies were that movie right there? The ugly duckling becomes the princess and whatever the scenario works out after that. There you go. It was this real, women need to be enabled by men. Women need to be enabled by men mentality. Well, to a point, social media and the internet has changed that dramatically. And there are a lot of people out there, a lot of women out there who no longer need to be validated by anyone else, whether that's they're promoting their writing or their artwork or they've created great political profiles out there. Or if even if they want to just do something where they're exposing some of their skin and basically finding the beauty within themselves and presenting it there. The women do this and they've been able to be enabled and they've enabled themselves via social media, which is it's a good thing. They don't need a man to give them validation. Now, once again, not all across the board, but that is one of the things I find to be very encouraging about it. I mean, I follow tons of chefs. I follow tons of people who travel and go to national parks. I mean, these people have been able, women have been able to create their own thing. And they, like I said, it's like, sure, they got a lot of male, subscribers per se, like myself, but they don't exist because of me. They exist because of what they're doing and people like it. And so I think that's a fantastic thing. I've talked about the men, there are some people like that have done it on the opposite side. My gosh, we just had, Chef Reactions just came into town and he's made a real big name for himself by doing, videos where he rips on people doing at home cooking videos and stuff like that. There's tons of people, Max Miller, cooking history. I love shows like that. There are plenty of places that do things, but there is this undercurrent I have talked about numerous times with young men in regards to social media, because I think social media has made it has actually damaged young men in the way that they react and interact with other people, particularly women. And there is this mentality. I mean, I've always used the mentality or the episode of Friends where Joey and Chandler get porn for free in their apartment for like 3 weeks, and how it breaks them because they all of a sudden lose the ability to focus on the real world, and they can't understand why the bank teller doesn't want to have sex with him. And that actually was predicting what the future would be. And so these guys that they because they want to feel like they validate things, and people don't do that. There is this mentality that has been kind of a snapback, for lack of a way to say it, which has made these kind of aggressive, hyper alpha males seem appealing, because it goes down to this base core that, oh, well, you should be respected. And I'll tell you what, I'll talk more about this in a second. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Back to school is just around the corner, and Seward Co-op is here to help get students of any age stocked up with affordable organic options, specialty snacks, and meals from the hot bar for nights when you don't want to cook. Whether you need coffee to get your school drop-off going or just need a place to study, Seward Co-op has you covered this school year. Learn more at seward.coop. That's seward.coop.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
There's a place at the end of the Nicollet Mall at West Grant Street with a huge 12-foot-tall red stiletto shoe spinning on the top of the marquee. Well, it's not a shoe store. It's the fabulous entertainment, dining, and cocktail lounge complex that houses Roxy's Cabaret, the Nicollet Diner, and On the Rocks. You have to experience it. Hilarious entertainment, great food, and craft cocktails, not to mention rooftop patios. Located at 1333 Nicollet Mall, you can't miss it.
Zip Zap Circus is coming to Minnesota for the first time ever. All the way from Cape Town, South Africa, this world-renowned company brings their acrobatic spectacle, Moya, to Children's Theater Company. Don't miss the stunning aerialists, comic jugglers, and unicycle dancers set to the energetic beat of South African pop music. Zip Zap Circus's Moya plays at CTC September 12th through October 20th. Tickets and information at childrenstheater.org.
AM 950 KTNF St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Tune in every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. for a full hour celebrating LGBTQ stories, culture, and entertainment in Minnesota with This Queer Book Saved My Life and The Gaily Show. Can't catch the shows live? Then listen through your favorite podcasting app. Plus, you can watch The Gaily Show anytime on AM 950's YouTube channel or Facebook page. For all the details, visit thisqueerbook.com or am950radio.com. We'll see you Saturdays at 2 p.m. or anytime via podcast, YouTube, or Facebook.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 84, tonight cloudy with a low around 65, and Saturday partly cloudy with a high around 80. Nightingale in Minneapolis is your perfect neighborhood gathering spot. Treat your taste buds to their famous Nightingale burger and fries, roasted duck breast, or try their unique offerings like the roasted broccoli bruschetta and smoked chicken liver plate. Can't stay? No problem, as Nightingale offers convenient takeout orders. More at nightingalempls.com.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the overnights 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle, in the afternoons here AM 950 the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So once again, social media has our society has dramatically changed because of social media and the internet, but the social media particularly. And this idea that women need to be emboldened and empowered by men is just garbage. We've kind of realized that's an old trope that needs to go away. And whereas not all men are in this boat, but some are, that there's this feeling like, well, I how do I talk to a woman? How do I do things? And it leads to this frustration and this loneliness. They constantly sit online and constantly look at, images of scantily clad women and stuff like this. And it creates this, they owe me sort of thing. I mean, it's really kind of an ugly element of our society right now. And we don't talk about it nearly enough, that we need people out there telling guys to not just basically sit on, the internet the entire time, that you need to go interact with the real world. And I think it's because of that lack of interaction with the real world that it creates this vicious circle that goes down this rabbit hole. Here's where I'm going to bring this all back together. I talked to my son a little bit about this, about social media. And he is about to turn 23 years old. And I asked him, I said, well, are you seeing this, what are you seeing in regards to social media? Because I was a little wondering. We had that story that came out a few weeks ago. Where was it? I brought it down here. I downloaded it a little bit here today. The story about the Russian-backed network. Russian-backed media RT funded and directed a scheme that sent millions of dollars to promote right-wing commentators through a media company that appears to match the description of Tenet Media, a leading platform of pro-Trump voices, according to an NBC News. The indictment on Wednesday of two RT employees includes allegations the duo implemented a nearly $10 million plan to fund an unnamed Tennessee-based company as one of their covert projects to influence American politics by posting videos on TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. The company's description matches Tenet Media, according to a review of NBC News, and details included in the indictment. Prosecutors said that the website Company One describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, the exact same language used by Tenet Media on its website and social media channels. The indictment also states that Company One is registered in Tennessee and changed its name on or about May 22nd, 2023. Tennessee Secretary of State records found by NBC show that Tenet Media entered its new assumed name on the same date, May 22nd, 2023. So basically, the Russians were paying these Alpha Bro Dude people to push an anti-Ukraine messaging. And I noticed that it was like, okay, TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. So I talked to my son. I said, what do you guys see out there with this? And it was interesting. And I talked to him, and I talked to a woman who is 25, who is also Generation Z, and is someone who follows me, and I follow her for politics. And I talked to them both about what they're seeing on social media in regards to Trump, in regards to this. And they both said kind of the same thing. Through my son, he said that social media, they're started about 2 years ago. There would be, say, a social media page that talked about cars. Specifically cars. I'm going to do, whether it's a TikTok or an Instagram or an X page, talked about cars. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, the guy, I just want to let you know, I support Donald Trump. And he said none of his friends were kind of surprised by that. And were not surprised. They were kind of surprised by it, but that no one was suckered in by that. That's a better way to say it. They weren't suckered in by this. It wasn't like all of them are all of a sudden, oh, I'm now a Republican. But it was kind of interesting that all of a sudden, all these social media influencers started putting out pro-Trump content. Not all the time, but occasionally would put out pro-Trump content. And yeah, as he said, it was pretty clear. And as my other friend said, it was pretty clear to her as well that this was paid advertising, that they were out of the blue. This was going on. And it happens across the board. These are paid influencers. They're getting paid to specifically talk to Generation Z. On top of that, my son made the observation. He said, if you clicked on their website, all of a sudden, no longer did similar websites show up, but whether it's TikTok or it's X or it's YouTube, he's not so much on Instagram. The other friend, that's why I talked to her. She's much more on Instagram. She didn't really answer this question, but he said when you click on one of them, you get those suggested accounts you should look at. And all of them were these hyper far right alpha male contents. Not like these guys. I mean, like I said, these guys were, they'll put out 6 posts about, here's how you bake a cake. I'm going to make some ribs tonight. Here's how to fillet a fish. And oh, by the way, I'm a big Trump fan. And so that was not them, but it all linked back to these hyper far right guys who are, as we know, were being paid, whether knowingly or not knowingly. I've heard some of the content these guys were saying. I would be a hard time thinking that they weren't knowing something was up, but they're all claiming they were innocent. So, unless there's information or evidence that shows that they knew what they were doing, benefit of the doubt. But they really were laying it on thick. How about we say it like that? They were putting on the anti-Ukraine propaganda pretty thick. So we already know these people are bought and paid for. And it's after talking to my son, I all of a sudden realized, oh my gosh, this is what the Republicans are doing to try to offset Generation Z. To keep the baby boomers and rural Americans in line, they welcome in racist. Now, once again, not every baby boomer and every rural American is a racist, but there's a lot of them that are in there that are racist. Why do you think they did the Haitian eating a pet thing? Because I know they're doing that. They are specifically doing this to appeal to that demographic. The Republicans, after 2020, sat down and said, how do we infiltrate Generation Z? And once again, they don't have to win over Generation Z. They just need to put enough of a dent into Generation Z to basically, stop the Democrats from winning. Because once again, everything is not about the Republicans are not about putting out their message and their talking points and winning over the crowd. Their entire thing is, well, we got all these people who are racist or racist light ready to vote in a heartbeat. We just got to make sure fewer of those people vote than they do. So this is what it's about. It's basically, at the very least, discouraging Generation Z men from being able to vote by basically brainwashing them into this culture of hyper alpha male. She should be doing what you want her to do. Now, first of all, Generation Z, let me explain something to you here. If I can. Turn off the freaking phones, dude. Seriously. I want you to breathe in deep. I want you to breathe out. If there is a person that you are, say, walking in a park, and you see someone who looks somewhat attractive, I want you to say, "Hi, my name is blank. How are you?" And strike up a conversation. Do not send a picture of them, of your junk. That's not how you do this. That's not how you appeal to things. The world is not a porn video. You need to learn how to basically have communications on this level. If you're having these problems, if you're basically listening to any of these far-right nutbags that are out there talking about how you need to dominate them, you need to step the hell away from that before you end up going down these roads like you've had people shoot up women's groups in areas where there have been women because they're angry. And I'm going to give you a little, it's a pep talk, but it's there. Yes, not every woman you talk to wants to have a conversation. They might be married. They might have a boyfriend. They might just not be that interested in you. Fine. When I was a kid and I wanted to try to meet people, you would go up and say hi. And yeah, sometimes my ratio to striking out to getting a hit was not that great. But there are plenty of times I did. And I got a great wife with this tactic by just being out there and saying hello. So you need to basically turn off the freaking screens, and you need to shut down these guys, because that is a path towards freaking lunacy. Now, I don't know if me saying any of that's going to help anyone out there, but this is where we're at. And this is what the Republicans are doing. And why are they doing this? Well, because this election is going to be close. This election is going to be close. A new poll released Wednesday shows half of Gen Z voters surveyed would support Vice President Kamala Harris if the election were held today. Well, that's not bad. That sounds like, sounds like pretty good numbers, right? Yeah. The NBC News Stay Tuned poll for Generation Z. And once again, I'm going to put up my thing about polling. I do not think that they are polling Generation Z correctly. I think they're undercounting Generation Z because Generation Z generally doesn't like to answer their phone, and online surveys, they're too easy to corrupt. NBC Stay News Gen poll showed that SurveyMonkey found that 50% of registered voters 18 to 29 would vote for Harris, while 34% would vote for Trump. 6% said they would vote for someone else, and 10% they wouldn't vote. The poll also found that 31% of Generation Z registered voters have a poor opinion of Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, while 15% have an excellent view of him. 18%, that's called underwater, folks. 16 points underwater. 18% have a good opinion of him, 16% not so good opinion of him. So, yeah. By contrast, 31% of Generation Z registered voters have an excellent opinion of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Harris's running mate, while only 14% have a poor opinion of him. 25% have a good opinion of him, 11% a not so good opinion, and 19% have no opinion of him at this point. The poll conducted between August 24th and August 30th, a margin of error plus 3.1 points. In 2020, 60% of voters age 18 to 29 voted for Joe Biden. 60%. 36% of the group voted for Trump. Now, Trump's down 2 points, but at 50%, Harris right now, which is better than Biden was doing this election cycle, is behind by 10 points. A recent New York Times Siena poll finds young voters have the greatest gender divide compared to every other age group by 51 points. Men between the ages of 18 and 29 favor former President Trump over Vice President Harris by 13 points. Women in the same age group are choosing Harris over Trump by 38 points. That's why those numbers are so overwhelming towards, are still fairly overwhelming towards Harris, is the women's vote. The women do not like Trump. But once again, Trump's not trying to appeal to women in Generation Z. They're trying to appeal to men in Generation Z and get them to either vote Republican or not vote. And Trump is now making a pitch through young men through social media personalities to counter Harris's momentum. That's exactly what they're doing. America's fickle young voters present one of the largest groups of undecided and persuadables left in the presidential election. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris are waging a multiple war front to attract swing voters 18 to 29, the most radically diverse age group in the electorate, and to persuade them to cast ballots. For Trump, that means gunning for the bro vote with testosterone-fueled appearances in podcasts and UFC fights. Harris is betting on young women who appear to be moving left much faster than young men are moving right, turning out the record numbers in part because of GOP's assault on abortion rights, also likely to help Harris Taylor Swift's much coveted endorsement. Why do you think all the Republicans went crazy with Taylor Swift's endorsement? Because that actually has some weight to it. Harris's polling numbers are much better, 18 to 29-year-olds, than Biden was 2 months ago, but her poll numbers are far behind the margins they've had over the years. You have to understand the game. Now, I've just explained what the game is, how they're basically trying to deactivate Generation Z. What are the Democrats going to do? And that means you and me. What are you doing to change that dynamic? You need to get people registered to vote. You need to start talking to younger people and explaining that the alpha bro stuff, that's just disgusting. You can't go with a pro misogyny, platform and think that this is going to be good for America. It's not. What are you doing to try to make sure that Harris wins in November? We'll take a break. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Hey, it's Patrick. It's another one of our favorite seasons in the state of Minnesota. It's football season. But if you're going to be having friends and family over to watch the games on Saturdays and Sundays, you might be noticing those messes the kids made over the summer before they went back to school. That's why you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get your house in shape. Any surface in your home can be Zero Resified, and their patented ZR water doesn't leave the harmful residue of the other guys. Score a touchdown with great savings this month from Zero Res. Get 3 rooms from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner starting at just $129 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning. And the Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee means you'll always come away a winner, even when the guys in the purple and the maroon don't. Schedule your appointment today at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES today. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale, your go-to spot for unforgettable gatherings, whether casual or special. Picture this, the warm glow of our cozy atmosphere, the laughter of friends, and the joy of sharing delicious food. From our Nightingale burger to the irresistible chocolate pot de creme, there's something for everyone. Plus, Chef Carrie is always cooking up something special for those memorable moments. Craft cocktails, curated drinks, and diverse menu options make Nightingale the go-to for any celebration. Learn more at nightingalempls.com.
Fall means back to school, and hands down the best vehicle for the family is the Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota. It hauls everything in comfort. Lots of kids? Check. Mountains of sports gear? Check. A band's worth of musical instruments? Check. Multiple science projects and schoolwork? Check. And the Sienna Hybrid gets you fantastic mileage, and it's the safest vehicle I've ever driven, something I will brag about for the rest of my life. The Toyota Sienna is the perfect Minnesota family vehicle. Test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
Get ready for the music event of the summer. Powderhorn Porch Fest returns Saturday, September 21st from 4 to 10 p.m. for another legendary evening of 13 epic performances across 3 community-decorated porch stages featuring genres from hip-hop, R&B, surf punk, Latin folk, and more. Powderhorn Porch Fest spans 2 blocks on 17th Avenue South between 32nd and 34th Streets. This year's headliner is Tufa One, a Dakota Boricua singer-songwriter, hip-hop artist, and community activist making waves across the nation. KRSM will be spinning beats with the diverse sounds of the South Side all night long. Treat yourself to over a dozen of Minneapolis' favorite food trucks, then grab a cold drink from the Reverie Cafe and Bar Beer Garden. The festival is family-friendly by day with activities for kids and an unforgettable celebration for the adults after dark. Best of all, Powderhorn Porch Fest is free to attend, with proceeds supporting the community programs of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association. Don't miss out on this one-of-a-kind music and community celebration. Powderhorn Porch Fest is Saturday, September 21st from 4 to 10 p.m. More details at ppna.org/porchfest.
Spike heels and skin tight jeans. I've got a fistful of love that's coming your way, baby. Spike heels and skin tight jeans. I've got a fistful of love that's coming your way, baby. Spike heels and skin tight jeans.
It's the Matt McNeil Show. No, what are you doing? Because right now, this is what's happening right now. Republicans know this is a tight race. So anytime they can stop people or discourage people from voting, and once again, sure, they'll love it if they can get someone to vote Republican, but the whole goal of them is to get enough people to not vote. And so that's where we're at. I mean, it's the Trump crap sandwich versus, at worst, an Arby's beef and cheddar. The Arby's beef and cheddar is still technically food, but they've got to convince you that basically that's not food, that it's no better than the actual crap sandwich that they want you to eat with Donald Trump. And they're very good at this. I played the Buttigieg clip at the beginning of this show where he says this is getting him to not talk about Project 2025. And if we start talking about Project 2025 again, guess what he's going to do? He'll probably do something even more outrageous. We talked about the fact that the party now is actually bringing in actual racist. Laura Loomer, just basically missing a sheet or a Nazi outfit. They're bringing her in to appeal to the racists. And now they're basically out there spending tons of money to appeal to alpha bros. And they're getting success with Generation Z. And this is, once again, Generation Z men, I'm not mistaken, voted for Biden, majority for Biden. Now they're behind. And if you just sit back and you say, well, we'll just get all the women to vote. Well, that's a quick way to basically guarantee you're going to lose. What are you doing? I have been disparaged. It's been a little disparaging to see that voter registrations in some states have been favoring Republicans, including in Pennsylvania. What are you doing to get people registered? Don't give me this crap about, I made this really cute meme. No, that's not doing anything. That's creating memes during a presidential election is the equivalent of saying thoughts and prayers after a gun massacre. It's only there for yourself. You're not doing it to change anything. You're only doing this to pat yourself on the back versus actually doing something that's going to make America better. You need to talk to everyone you know, including those young kids. Hey, yo, I'm dope. I don't know. Am I? I don't. Talk about the importance of voting. For Generation Z, the paying off of college student loan debt is a huge advantage. I mean, you don't have to explain infrastructure or healthcare or anything like that. You can just look. The Democrats want to pay off your college education so that you're not in a massive amount of debt as you go into the workforce. You need to get out there. And frankly, you need to, entice these guys to turn off their freaking computers every once in a while and not just sit there and be online 20 hours a day. You need to get people registered to vote. You need to be volunteering, whether that's phone banking, whether that's filling out postcards, whether that's door knocking. And I can't tell you enough how important it is to go out and door knock. It is absolutely vital that you door knock. And, once again, Chicago, it's great. I know there's a lot of districts in Chicago that are slam dunk guaranteed Democrats are going to win. But you need to get down into those areas where it's a 50-50 split or a +2 or 3 Republican area, and you need to go door knock there. You can't just go around an area that's 80-85% Democrat and think you've done something. I've already gone out door knocking twice this election cycle. My wife has as well. What are you doing to do that? You got to get out there. Seattle, same thing. You got to get out of those safe Democratic districts and get into these suburbs where it's a little bit more towards the right, where you're like, how can this be? And go talk to them. You need to make donations to help out these candidates from top to bottom. And if you can't make a donation, understandably, go volunteer. And then you need to vote. Everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to vote. None of this, I'm going to sit this out. No. There's no sitting this out. The Republicans only win nowadays when a large portion of the population sits out. Back in 2020, Joe Biden, I think between Joe Biden and Trump together, they got somewhere around 150 million voters. The country is 330 million. About another 80 million people in this country. I think it's actually higher. I think it was like 85 million, 90 million people that could have voted in 2020 did not vote. It is a chronic problem in this country. Yes, everything is on the line. So please, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing to make this happen? What am I doing to make Kamala Harris the next president of the United States? What am I doing besides making a freaking meme? Memes do not win anything. And right now, it kind of feels a little bit like 2016, where there's a lot of people patting themselves on the back with memes. Oh, look at this meme. I made a meme. Did you knock on any doors? No, I'm going to stay at home. Knock on the doors. Volunteer. Please. We only have a few weeks left to save this country. And I am not exaggerating that statement. Imagine Laura Loomer as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Imagine one of these alpha bros as the Secretary of the Environment or something, because that's where we're going with this. The complete and utter destruction of the United States of America because we thought memes voted. They don't. Door knock, volunteer, make a phone call, fill out a postcard. Do that. Make a donation. Make sure you get people registered to vote. Ask everyone you know, are you registered to vote? Get them registered to vote. And when it comes to Election Day, everyone votes. That's how we stave off the end of this country. Chicago, Seattle, have a good weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Minnesota Recovery Connection is inviting everyone to join their annual Walk for Recovery on Saturday, September 21st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Minnesota State Capitol grounds. Minnesota Recovery Connection's Walk for Recovery, presented by New Way Alliance, will be bigger and better than ever in 2024. Join us for Minnesota's premier all-recovery event, a day for everyone and anyone to celebrate recovery and break the stigma associated with substance use disorder. Sign up today. There is no registration fee. You can also take the opportunity to invest in recovery and donate to the walk. Your financial support helps Minnesota Recovery Connection strengthen the recovery community through peer-to-peer support, public education, and advocacy. Most importantly, though, please join Minnesota Recovery Connection and the recovery community at the walk and put a face on recovery. Bring your friends and family to the Minnesota State Capitol grounds on Saturday, September 21st to celebrate recovery. For more information and to register, please visit minnesotarecovery.org/walk. That's minnesotarecovery.org/walk.
Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden is calling out what he calls attacks on the Haitian community. The AP's Sagar Magani is at the White House.
Donald Trump and GOP running mate J.D. Vance have falsely said Haitian immigrants in an Ohio town are eating people's pets. Vance suggests immigrants in Springfield are responsible for rising crime and rent. The insults have led to bomb threats in Springfield, school evacuations, and closures. Here at the White House,
simply wrong. There's no place in America. This has to stop.
what he's doing. That's a stop.
At a luncheon honoring Black excellence, the president noted spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre, who calls herself a proud Haitian American, asked hours later if she takes the insults against Haitians personally.
I take it personally when any community, any vulnerable community is attacked. Not just a community that I belong to.
Sagar Magani at the White House.
In Los Angeles today, Donald Trump says when he takes office, immigration changes will be made.
It's like an invasion from within, and we're going to have the largest deportation in the history of our country, and we're going to start with Springfield and Aurora.
He mentioned Aurora, Colorado. Kamala Harris is campaigning in Pennsylvania. Stocks finished higher, finishing just short of record highs. President Biden and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer are meeting at the White House. Ukraine wants the two countries to give it the go-ahead to fire their weapons deeper into Russia. National Security spokesman John Kirby doesn't think it's going to happen.
I wouldn't expect any sort of major announcement in that regard coming out of the discussions, certainly not from our side.
Investigators reviewing the emergency response to last year's devastating wildfire on Maui say they found no evidence Hawaii officials made preparations for it, despite days of warnings. This is AP News.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at Wounded Warrior Project.
I'm having a really hard time lately, and I'm worried no one will understand what I'm going through.
I feel so alone. I wish there was somebody I could talk to.
If you're looking for support, Mental Health Minnesota is here for you, with connections to others who have also struggled with their mental health and can provide support and resources. Services are anonymous, confidential, free of charge, and open 7 days a week. Connect today at mentalhealthmn.org or call 855-HERE-FOR-MN today. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Get ready for the music event of the summer. Powderhorn Porch Fest returns Saturday, September 21st from 4 to 10 p.m. for another legendary evening of 13 epic performances across 3 community-decorated porch stages featuring genres from hip-hop, R&B, surf punk, Latin folk, and more. Powderhorn Porch Fest spans 2 blocks on 17th Avenue South between 32nd and 34th Streets. This year's headliner is Tufa One, a Dakota Boricua singer-songwriter, hip-hop artist, and community activist making waves across the nation. KRSM will be spinning beats with the diverse sounds of the South Side all night long. Treat yourself to over a dozen of Minneapolis' favorite food trucks, then grab a cold drink from the Reverie Cafe and Bar Beer Garden. The festival is family-friendly by day with activities for kids and an unforgettable celebration for the adults after dark. Best of all, Powderhorn Porch Fest is free to attend, with proceeds supporting the community programs of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association. Don't miss out on this one-of-a-kind music and community celebration. Powderhorn Porch Fest is Saturday, September 21st from 4 to 10 p.m. More details at ppna.org/porchfest. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 84, tonight cloudy with a low around 65, and Saturday partly cloudy with a high around 80. Nightingale in Minneapolis is your perfect neighborhood gathering spot. Treat your taste buds to their famous Nightingale burger and fries, roasted duck breast, or try their unique offerings like the roasted broccoli bruschetta and smoked chicken liver plate. Can't stay? No problem, as Nightingale offers convenient takeout orders. More at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Friday. Good to have you with us. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Michael Broadcorp will join us here in a little bit to get a little Vikings talk in. I'll do some dancing maybe a little bit later on. But yeah, it's going to be one of those days. Patrick, I am not aware. I know you're a big, you cover sports more than I do, but this story really blows my mind about the Twins and one of their A-ball players. The Twins released a minor league catcher yesterday after finding out he was telling opposing hitters what pitch his team was throwing. Derek Bender, team's 6th-round selection of the year in this year's MLB draft out of Coastal Carolina. So it's a draft pick for this year. Played for the Twins single-A affiliate in Fort Myers, Florida, the Mighty Muscles, who play in the Florida State League. They were eliminated from playoff consideration with a second half record of 35-25. Fort Myers had the first half record of 31-34. During the second game of a September 6th doubleheader, Bender was telling the pitches to the hitters from the Lakeland Flying Tigers, according to the ESPN report. Lakeland scored 4 runs in the second inning on the way to a 6-0 victory, won the Florida State League West Division. Fort Myers squandered a 6-game division lead during the season's final 3 weeks. Now, like child, like parent. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Following the game, following the game, the Lakeland coaches informed Fort Myers coaches what Bender did. There were reportedly no indications that Flying Tigers batters were aware of Bender's intentions, nor their attempts to steal signs or any such actions. The catcher apparently had told teammates he wanted the season to be finished. Bender was banished to the team's bullpen for the final 2 games of the season instead of being allowed in the dugout. Bender, 21, batted .200 with a .606 OPS, 2 home runs, and 8 RBIs in 19 games with Fort Myers. Defensively, he threw out 4 of 24 base runners, a catcher, and allowed no pass balls or wild pitchers. Neither Bender or his agent nor the Twins commented on the development. So, first of all, have you ever heard of anything like this?
I have not. I was absolutely stunned. It felt to me like an only in Minnesota sports does you actually have a guy who, I don't want to be here, I'm going to throw the game.
There is my son played baseball, and he played baseball for all the way through high school, and there is an element. My guess is this guy, he played at Coastal Carolina. That's the college he went to. He hit .326 with a .979 OPS, 22 doubles, 32 homers, 135 RBIs, 12 stolen bases. So he was great at college. He gets to A ball, and all of a sudden the shovel hits him in the face. And he realizes, I'm not going to be a Major League Baseball player. And I think that's exactly what this was him quitting, whether he was intended as or not. This was him basically quitting baseball without quitting baseball. I mean, he himself knew, well, I'm not going to get better than A ball, maybe double A ball at some point, but I'm never making the Twins roster. So he basically he wanted the season over and to get done with it, and he ended up. No one's ever going to touch this guy ever again.
Well, he took a bunch of other people down with him because he made these poor decisions. And I commented, if he's struggling mentally or physically or both, there were a million ways that he could have gone about this better than the way that he did.
It's absolutely. I will say, so Charlie went to a sports banquet one time. Now, I did not go to this banquet. My wife took him when he was younger. And they, standard sports banquet. If you've ever done one of these things, you go in there, the kids all look awkward. Everyone gets a kind of a mediocre meal, and then they have some guest speaker come on in. And they had some guy, and I don't know how far up into the minor league system he worked himself into, but kind of a same thing where he basically said, I was a pitcher. And I was a good pitcher. And one day I threw the best pitch I could, and the guy took it out of the park. And I never got it back again. And the entire rest of the speech was, you shouldn't have dreams, kids. Dreams are garbage. Do not have dreams. Don't do this. And there was a lot of chuckling about this. But it's like one of those things that you get to this point, if you are good enough to play Division I baseball or get drafted and you're going, you have this mentality. You clearly are on the upper crust of players. And what you don't realize is that there's a lot of players that never make it up to the major leagues that get drafted. I mean, the majority of players never make it to the major leagues. Only the best players overall make it there. There have been friends of my son who have transferred to different college to try to find some opportunity, some way to kind of reignite the flame, to kind of find some way to make it onto a different team, make it into a different program, make it up to that next level. I can't tell you how glad I am. My son basically said, Dad, I'm done playing baseball. And it was during the pandemic year, 2020. And he said, I'm done playing baseball. I just want to go to college. And so he did. But there are so many kids that basically they always want to get to that next level. And if you've always been, it is really hard, I think, when you've been the guy that, that's a good line from the Coastal Carolina. 32 home runs, 22 doubles, and 979 OPS. That's a pretty good line, man. And then all of a sudden he just gets right into it. Oh yeah, that was pitching against Coastal Carolina's opponents. Those pitchers, that's what you had to hit. Now you have to hit, this, and he just couldn't do it. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that this happened. He's done. I mean, he's never going to play baseball again. No one is going to bring him in. No one's going to bring him in to coach. So I hope it was worth it. I hope it was worth it for him, because his entire life around baseball is done. I don't know what your college degree from Coastal Carolina was going to be, but, outside of maybe, some beer league picking you up, you're done, man. I mean, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you, but it is kind of tragic when you kind of think about his entire life. He had this, he decides, okay, I don't think he ever made a conscious decision, but he makes a decision which basically negates any chance of him playing ever again for another team or coaching, because no one's going to hire you as a coach. I wouldn't hire you as a coach to a little league team, man. Petty and small, come on. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I want to also get into one of my favorite topics. Don't try to commit crimes in Edina. They've got more money to track you down than anybody else. And we have our latest example of this. A group of Twin Cities teenagers allegedly went on a robbery spree at Edina early this month that included ransacking a Panda Express at the Southdale Center, then stealing 3 safes full of drugs from Twin Cities Orthopedic before being caught trying to break into cars. On Thursday, Hennepin County Attorney's Office charged Brandon Wayne Shopper, 18 of North Branch, with 2 counts of felony burglary, 1 count of 5th-degree drug possession. 2 juveniles, one 17 and the other now 18, face similar charges. Minnesota Star Tribune does not typically name juveniles charged with crimes if they've not been certified as adults. The unnamed 18-year-old was still a juvenile at the time of the robberies. The felony robbery charges stem for the theft at Twin Cities Orthopedics, where the suspects allegedly grabbed a key fob from the front desk and stole the safes. Once they got the safes home, they cracked them open with an axe and found a trove of drugs. In the early morning hours of September 2nd, Edina police responded to a phone call of suspicious activity on the 4200 block of Valley View Road. So 4200 block of Valley View Road. That's kind of, I think, getting over by Southdale. I think it's over by Southdale. They found 3 men and 1 woman trying to break into cars. While searching Shopper and the 2 male teenagers, they found 3 in possession of fentanyl, citrate, dilithium, and midazolam. Okay. They also found black ski masks, headlamps, flashlights. So you brought the entire burglary kit with you. Okay. It is September 2nd. I do understand cold spells might come in early here in Minnesota at times, but I don't think the ski mask. Okay, never mind. They also found black ski masks, headlamps, flashlights, 2 Apple iPads with stickers on the back indicating they belong to a medical facility, 3 pried open safes, and narcotics. So you kept the safes in the car. Okay. They filed 3 pried open safes and narcotics log for TCO crosstown surgery. At that time, police confirmed burglary had taken place at the orthopedic urgency care facility. Where does Panda Express get in on this? That's actually, I got to tell you the truth. I'm far more. Did you break into a Panda Express? Really? A Panda Express? Was Arby's closed? You couldn't get past the great Arby's security? When police searched one of the juveniles, they also found a baggie with 2 large psychedelic mushrooms, 2 glass containers storage marijuana wax, 2 tabs of which was suspected to be LSD, and a digital scale. That you guys, wow. The juvenile faces an additional charge of second-degree drug possession. You think?
Well, robbing the Panda Express was stupid because they're only going to be on about, a couple dozen cameras at Southdale Mall.
Well, but they didn't catch them when they broke into the Southdale. But okay, here it is. 2 days. Okay, police surveyed video from the Twin Cities Orthopedics that showed the group with similar appearance in the defendants entering the hospital around 2 a.m. before leaving 20 minutes later. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who your lawyer is, but you're going to have a hard time explaining if that wasn't you. How did the safes get in your car with all the drugs from there? I'll let that, you can think about that. 2 days later, a manager at Southdale Center Panda Express called police saying he was missing a mailbox key, a key to the cash drawer, and a fridge key. Surveillance video from the restaurant shows 4 people jump over the service counter and ransack the fast food restaurant around 1:30 a.m. 1:30 a.m. at Southdale? Those 4 people were wearing the same clothes as the 4 people from the surveillance video at the Twin Cities Orthopedics. So there's one missing unless it was the girl in the car. Shopper allegedly told police the group had gone to Southdale Center to explore and had been at Panda Express. He said they also went to TCO to take pictures before finding a key fob and entering the room where drugs were kept. They took 3 safes to a friend's house and opened them with an axe. They split the drugs evenly. Shopper, who turned 18 in July, is due in court on September 30th. He was charged in August with fleeing the peace officer in a motor vehicle in Hennepin County. One of the juveniles was charged with 3rd-degree assault in October 2023. An outcome of the case is pending. The juveniles were set to be arraigned in juvenile court in October. No attorney was listed for the teenagers. Can I just say, all right. First of all, I got to tell you the truth. I'm stunned they didn't catch you faster. I mean, I guess in the realm of this is like, when in the movie Ocean's 11, when they're talking about the guys breaking, trying to steal from a casino, and the one guy actually got outside the doors before getting gunned down. I guess in the realm of things, you got away with it for a few days. Yeah. Hennepin County Attorney's Office, I'm hoping, I am praying, I am begging. Please do not take this case and just, give them slaps on the wrist. Yeah, this is pretty bad stuff, man. Stealing from the orthopedic center. I mean, my gosh, that's a pretty substantial drug heist. You should say, and they also stole from a Panda Express. Wah, wah. And hey, I've got my cravings too. Have you ever had the little corn dog nuggets from an A&W in the mall, man?
Oh, those are amazing.
Oh God, those are good. Corn dog nuggets from an A&W in the mall is a tasty food option. I'm not about to bust into the mall A&W though to go get some. And then, of course, you were you were dumb enough to go back to the scene of the crime, Medina, and try to break into cars. And you brought the safes, you brought all the drug evidence, and you brought your burglary kits. Wow. I'm going to presume most of the drugs you stole have already been consumed. You need to throw these guys in jail for a while. And you probably need to upgrade those two. I understand I'm about to get some lecture about brain size. No. These 3 need to go to jail for a while. Okay. You're stupid enough to go rob a diner. You got outside the casino and smelled some fresh air. Well, it is Vegas, so it's probably not that fresh. But You just don't rob a Dynaman. I'm just going to let you know. They're going to find you. They're going to find you, and they're going to get you. And they don't need you to come back because I'm going to guess at some point they were going to come to you. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on your Friday.
Spring and summer is the right time to install your fireplace. Find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert or check out the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. It will transform your inefficient fireplace into a reliable, environmentally smart heating system.
This is Peter Solak, owner of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Have you ever watched your dog or cat curl up in front of a fire? It's primordial, the way it touches both the animal and the human. We know that fire reaches deep into the heart and soul. Let us show you how. We have over 35 working units on display here in Minneapolis. We are located at the east end of Riverside Avenue at 2901 East Franklin. From I-94, take the Riverside Avenue exit. Find us also online at woodlandstoves.com. Let us help you make a fireplace part of your life.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950, here to tell you about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims, and we'll help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP or snapconstruction.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, so two updates on stories as well that I wanted to kind of get in here before we got into the weekend. First of all, my favorite cuddle bear of all time, Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's Chaska-based pillow company, MyPillow, made just 2 of 24 payments on an $800,000 debt to the delivery company DHL, according to a lawsuit filed in Hennepin County this week. Documents attached to the lawsuit say that DHL signed an initial customer account agreement with MyPillow in 2015 for an estimated yearly spend of $4 million on delivery of their pillows, with all payments being made within 15 days of delivery. The companies entered into a new agreement last year for MyPillow to pay off the debt of $818,493 with monthly installments of $32,291 starting in April of 2024. MyPillow made the first 2 payments and that settlement for $64,000 with the most recent payment in June. Lawyers for DHL alerted MyPillow in early July they would begin legal proceedings if a payment was not received within 5 business days. The suit is seeking the principal debt amount of $799,925,000 plus 18% annual interest and attorney's fees. MyPillow and Lindell have been at the center of several lawsuits in recent years that have impacted the financial viability of the company, including 3 federal defamation lawsuits related to Lindell's disproven claims about a stolen 2020 presidential election. The largest lawsuit, brought to you by Denver-based voting machine company Dominion, is seeking $1.3 billion in damages. In 2023, Lindell told the Star Tribune, "I would never settle in the lawsuit. You don't settle for something when you've done nothing wrong." MyPillow was facing eviction from its Shakopee outlet store, warehouse, and primary manufacturing plant early this year, but the landlord dropped the case after MyPillow paid nearly $500,000 in overdue rent in July. I think I can see what happened here. A federal judge in St. Paul ruled in February that Lindell owed $5 million to a man who entered into a contest Lindell created called Prove Mike Wrong Challenge. Mission accomplished, in which they challenged anyone to prove that his data regarding election fraud was not valid. Robert Ziedman, a computer expert from Nevada, entered into the challenge while Lindell and a panel of judges denied his entry. A panel of 3 arbitrators ruled he had satisfied the contest rules and had to be paid the prize money. Lindell still plans to appeal. This is not the first lawsuit against MyPillow alleging breach of contract over delivery-related expenses. Extend Incorporated, a California company that provides shipping and product protection services, sued MyPillow this year in district court for the Northern District of California, alleging that the company owes them $564,151. Lindell has been diversifying his business portfolio. Recently took his Frank Speech media platform public through a merger with a holding company. That holding company, by the way, was in debt, if I remember correctly. Lindell founded Frank Speech and later his social media counterpart Frank Social in 2021 after Twitter kicked him off the platform for repeating unproven election fraud claims. All right. Once again, I'm going to say something I have said since this entire freaking nightmare scenario has happened. I feel sorry for the people that work for him. They did not deserve this. But you can only scream and warn somebody so much. We here at AM 950, starting in 2021, when these lawsuits started coming down, said to Mike, I think it was like September of that year, we said, Mike, dude, just go apologize, say I'm sorry, pay a few $1 million and grovel, and you maybe, just maybe, you'll save your pillow company. No. Then we said it again in 2022, 2023. Here we are, 2024, and at this point in 2024, I mean, there's nothing we can do. I mean, it's his chances of acquiescing, and I want to remind people, I gave him the out. I said, if you've got your proof, don't sit there and say, I'm going to release it eventually. You're a big enough name, Mike. Go call up all the newspapers in town, call all the TV stations in town, have a press conference, pull out your evidence and show it, because this is for your life. Or grovel and apologize, and maybe they'll let you off the hook, at least with less than a death notice to your business. Nope. A normal person, when someone says, I challenge anybody to prove me wrong, when that person comes and says, oh, by the way, you're wrong, you don't just basically say, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. Oops, my bad. And he proved. And once again, you want to skip past the fact that this guy proved that all the things that he was saying about fraud were that this evidence he had was fraudulent. It was just nothing there. It was a bunch of ones and zeros. It didn't do a damn thing. At that point, you should have, you should have cut your losses. You should have cut your losses. You have, I want to make sure we understand that MyPillow is about to, it's got to be close to dying. Because if you're at the point where, as a major business, you had to make a decision, and it sounds like this is the case. I can't say this for sure, but it sounds like this is the case. You had to pay off DHL $32,000 a month. But in July, you had to make the decision of spending all your money to keep your business over the walls and roof over your head. And now you're getting sued for the DHL money. How much longer is this company even going to be around? And I get it. We talked about when you launched the Frank Speech, which once again, as the listener said, should have been called Pillow Talk. Dude, you should have been calling it Pillow Talk. You should have. But you got Frank Speech. you're doing this because you're desperately trying to raise cash. It's at least that's what it seems like. And I don't think that there's anyone that's coming to save you. I really feel sorry. People in Chaska, people that work for the MyPillow company, regardless of what your political ideology is, I feel sorry for you because it's hard to be in this situation where you can tell that the gig is pretty much up. But the only person you have to blame for this is Mike Lindell. That's the only person you can blame for this. And yeah, I feel sorry for him. But I've been consistent. I felt sorry about this whole thing on the front end too. But here we are. 952-946-6205. The other update I want to do involves the St. Anne's story from yesterday, which was really weird. Once again, the fantastic writer Susan Dew over at the Star Tribune. She covers local issues, and she brought up this story of the St. Anne's Place, a shelter for homeless women and their children in North Minneapolis, being violently attacked by the neighbors of the facility. And in turn, having windows busted in, threats. Apparently someone shot a car, and the police came there and didn't do anything, even though there's video evidence of these neighbors physically attacking the building. And this happened, once again, a shelter for homeless women and their children. This happened over a period of multiple hours, multiple hours. Like, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. This attack happened at night. A 33-year-old woman has been arrested in connection with damage and threats to residents at a homeless shelter last week in North Minneapolis. So says the chief of police, Brian O'Hara. This was the easiest. How you didn't arrest her that night, I don't know. Multiple security cameras at St. Anne's Place, a shelter for homeless women and their children, captured repeated assaults involving nearly a dozen people in the residence of the building on the night of September 5th. Minneapolis police investigators delivered their findings to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for possible charges of felony property damage and riot, according to a statement released by the police on Thursday evening. The Star Tribune has reviewed full-length exterior and interior footage of the 3 cameras showing people, apparently neighbors from 2 homes across the street, pursuing residents across the front yard of the property before slugging 2 closed doors of the shelter with a baseball bat, causing glass to burst into the main hallway of St. Anne's Place, with women holding babies on this other side. A neighbor can be clearly seen making a long gun gesture toward the front door. A shelter resident's van was smashed before and after police arrived and possibly shot. The entire incident lasted for 4 hours. Shelter staff said ongoing disputes over street parking led up to the attack. So these people went crazy because of street parking. I want to repeat that. These people went crazy because of street parking and started to violently attack a homeless women and children shelter. You all need Jesus, man. You all need Jesus, because you guys clearly don't have anything like that in your life. According to a statement from the police, O'Hara said the investigation began immediately and has been ongoing since. He said investigators collected and reviewed surveillance video, interviewed witnesses, and worked to track down victims and suspects. Now, I'm going to just say this. Once again, Chief O'Hara, right tone. I'm glad you're doing this. I don't think he was aware of what happened here until this exploded in the media, and now he became involved. And now that he became involved, it seems like things are moving. Because there were some problems with the police response to this. Huge problems. He said investigators collected and reviewed surveillance video and viewed witnesses and worked to track down victims and suspects. The incident was disturbing and involved multiple levels of potential crime, which has made his ongoing investigation labor-intensive, said O'Hara. He said that he believed further arrests may still occur. The footage, which contains no audio, shows police arriving after most of the violence had already taken place. Once they leave, neighbors can be seen resuming vandalism of the shelter's resident's car, knocking off a side view mirror out of a minivan of a St. Anne's resident and sending it bouncing across the street. A different set of police officers briefly returned to the scene at one point, but they may not have realized that the vehicle had been further damaged since their colleague's departure. Officials with People Serving People, which had operated St. Anne's Place since May, criticized the police response. The footage confirms that Minneapolis officers spoke first with the aggressors before making their way over to the shelter. Okay, who called 911? The shelter did. How are you talking to them? The footage, there were several people who called 911 were at the shelter. People Serving People officials said the first officers to arrive were dismissive of victims, made no arrests despite some parts of the security footage clearly showing the assailants' faces. People Serving People was vacated St. Anne's Place, relocating about 50 women and children to area hotels at a $9,000 a night cost. If the place is not made safe enough for staff and residents to return, People Serving People must make room for them and its own other shelters, reducing the capacity. So as nights start getting cold, all of a sudden women and their children are going to be back out in the street. Murphy contracted Mayor Jacob Fry. The city council requested a legitimate investigation into the attacks. I personally think the assailants were emboldened by the police response. And once again, the video footage shows indeed the police were looking at the footage while they were there at St. Anne's Place and did not make any arrests. I mean, you got a busted in window on the door with a baseball bat. At what point is that not a crime? I mean, it is pretty interesting when you put it with the Edina guys. You know, they see the Edina guys take everything seriously. No one, I guarantee you, if they had video footage in Edina of a door getting busted out with a baseball bat, and the guy was standing right there, that dude would be in cuffs. That would be a very quick point A to point B, and we're done. So yeah, it is a shame it got to this point. I'm hoping now we're taking it seriously, but something needs to be, I mean, obviously I think you do need to bring in security. At the very least, if all of a sudden St. Anne's calls in and the same people are attacking, well, yeah, it's not that hard to figure this out. You people that were attacking a homeless shelter because of street parking. What's wrong with you guys? Come on. You need to do better. You really need to do better. We'll take a break. When we come on back, Michael Broadcorp will join us. We got to get ready for the Vikings game, so we'll talk to him. Plus, I got some dancing loaded and ready to go coming up a little bit later on. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Friday.
I'm JP Debregosian, host of The Gailey Show, celebrating LGBTQ culture and entertainment in Minnesota and beyond every Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Coming up on Saturday, September 21st, is the You Belong Fall Fest and Drag Competition, which is hosted by Twin Cities Pride. The top 25 drag performers in the state are competing for Best Drag Performer of Minnesota. But they can't get that crown without your vote. So come to You Belong Fall Fest and Drag Competition to watch the performances live and to vote on your favorite to determine who will make the top 5. In addition to the competition, there will be food and beverages, including adult beverages, because the Fall Fest will be at Summit Brewing Company. Plus, there will be a queer makers market and yard games. The doors will open at 3 p.m. and the drag competition starts at 4 p.m. Tickets are $20. That's September 21st at Summit Brewing Company. For more information and to get those tickets, head to tcpride.org. Coming up this Saturday at 2 p.m. on This Queer Book Saved My Life, my guest will be actor Jonathan Freed. We'll be talking about the book that saved his life, The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams. And this is a play he went on to star in with Olympia Dukakis. After that, on The Gailey Show, I talk with Masi Covey, who's currently performing in the visually spectacular Zip Zap Circus, which is now playing at the Children's Theater. Plus, author Max Austin will be here to talk about his new book, How Can We Be Wrong? So tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m. or listen to The Gailey Show everywhere you get your podcast or on am950radio.com. You can also watch The Gailey Show on our YouTube channel. For now, enjoy this hour of The Matt McNeil Show. This is JP Debragosian, host of The Gailey Show. On our Instagram channel, we play preview clips of upcoming episodes, and now we're also doing ticket giveaways. We're giving away tickets to Harry Situation, a new comedy show by Alok, coming to the Uptown Theater October 23rd. Alok is an internationally recognized comedian and actor. All you have to do to enter is follow us on Instagram. We're at _Gailey Show. That's GAILY show. And keep following us. We have more upcoming giveaways this fall.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 84, tonight cloudy with a low around 65, and Saturday partly cloudy with a high around 80. Nightingale in Minneapolis is your perfect neighborhood gathering spot. Treat your taste buds to their famous Nightingale burger and fries, roasted duck breast, or try their unique offerings like the roasted broccoli bruschetta and smoked chicken liver plate. Can't stay? No problem, as Nightingale offers convenient takeout orders. More at nightingalempls.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Michael Broadcorp is our Vikings expert. We have him on politics, but we're going to skip politics this week. We're just going to focus on football, where he and I are now geniuses after last week, absolute geniuses. Michael Broadcorp, kind enough to join us, of course, his podcast, get his book, all this good stuff. Hey, Michael.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. You and I both picked 28-14. Game was we were actually being optimistic for New York Giants. It was 28-6 was the final. They granted, it is the New York Giants. They are not a good
easy
team. You know, well, they're not a good team, but they did what you do with a bad team, especially on the road. You put them in their place, and they did. And at no point did that game even look like it was in question.
We crushed it. You called it a must-win game. You called it must-win, which I mean. I was, but the point is, we were right. It was a must win. In retrospect, it was a must win, and they won it. It was fantastic.
Oh, the defense. Well, first of all, I guess we should be somewhat the offense. There were a lot of problems with the offense last year. The offense looked pretty good. I mean, they at least looked like they synced up quite a bit.
Yes, I mean there was a lot of things. I mean, again, I think the fair expectation, although every Vikings season, every Vikings fan has a hope that this is the year that they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think most people are coming into this season not expecting much, and that certainly wasn't on display on Sunday. I think there's a lot to believe in with this team. They got a big test coming up on Sunday at home opener against the 49ers. But there was a lot of things to be positive about Sunday's victory against the Giants.
Darnold did something which Cousins did a lot, which was the ability to float a pass into coverage and get it to Jefferson with consistency. Now, he wasn't as good as Cousins, but the fact that he was trying those passes and he was successful with a few of those passes, that is, I mean, Sam Darnold is, I mean, he's a journeyman at this point. He's come here. Yep. He does have clearly some ability. If he stays healthy, I think this is a great opportunity for him where he can basically make a name for himself after being kind of considered and jettisoned away by some of these teams.
We have had kind of these journeymen over the years. And I know there was a lot of expectation that J.J. McCarthy was going to be potentially even starting week one. That's not the case because of the injury we're going to be with Darnold. And I think he did a great job. It's interesting to note, as much as I'm just rooting for the Vikings and also making sure that the Packers lose, I did pay a little bit of attention to the Falcons game. Boy, oh boy, I have to say, and you and I were never really, I think we've always been fair. We were fair about Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
It surprised me on Sunday when the game started how much, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, how much I didn't miss him. And then when I saw the score of the Falcons game, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I think he's a nice guy. I think he did his shtick and he got out and he's made a killing. God bless him. No fault in that, but boy, oh boy, that was a great win. And I don't try to root for anyone's failure, but it was interesting that what the Falcons got on first day of their new franchise quarterback.
Was it 17 yards in the second half for him? in that
Yeah.
Atlanta game, 17 total yards.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't look like he's healed. And you and I
Yep.
talked about it when that whole contract thing was up. He said he's just not worth what he was asking for, just because you got this major injury out there, and you can set up a contract where 2-3 years down the road, if he proves himself again, he gets his big payday, but not what he was wanting. And Atlanta, good luck with that, man. You're not gonna that's not gonna go well, I don't think.
And you and I had said that if Minnesota had signed Cousins at that salary, we would have probably been at TCO Field protesting, that we wouldn't have liked that dollar amount. And so, I think that, look, I mean, this is not the season that the Vikings expected. This was not the place that they wanted to be. But I got to tell you something, going into the Meadowlands, going into there and winning, it was not something again, you have to live up to your own hype. You called it a must-win game, and they did.
Yeah. I think that you had to get out of the gate, because you don't know how many games are going to come on in here. But this team looks okay. Last year, you and I talked about how the first 3 weeks of the season, they looked like garbage because they clearly weren't ready coming out of training camp. This team looks like it's ready out of training camp. And let's talk that defense, and especially our new guy here, Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel. Everyone on the defense played really well. That defense, really gave the Giants no chance at all to come back. And not only that, but their identification, that interception that went into the end zone. I was watching that on TV. I was like, oh man, come on. I can see what they're about to do. And so did our defense. And they did what you do. If you're going to be that stupid and telegraph what you're going to do, well, 6 points us.
We've got a great defensive coach. There's great development there. And we've suffered some setbacks in the offense with JJ and McCarthy and others' expectation. But boy, oh boy, the defense stood up, and we should be very fortunate with who we have as our defensive coordinator. It was great for the Vikings to get him, and he's doing a great job for us. And we should be very happy that he's there, because he just the defense delivered in a classic Vikings strong defense way. The teams that when I was growing up and watching them in the initial stages, they were a strong defense team. And that was what they were known for. And so to see that back and see that type of strength, let me just say this to you. I don't know who originally came up with the phrase "any given Sunday," but what my dad, my old man, used to say all the time, what makes the NFL so interesting is the level of parity, and that generally speaking, on any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Yep.
And there was an absolute possibility that they could have gone to New York, certainly based on history, gone into Giant Stadium or Meadowlands and absolutely laid an egg. But they didn't, and they came out with a victory. And again, Matt, in a game you labeled as a must-win, and they won.
Yes, they won, and I want to revisit something you and I talked about when we did our preseason things, where we were talking about these first few games.
Yep.
You and I both, I think, were saying, okay, Vikings beat the Giants for sure. Go to Houston, get the win there, but this might be a case where they lose that game against San Francisco when they come here. Looking at that's what I said. You challenged me. You did the same thing last time. So looking at the way the Jets played the 49ers last week, our defense is a lot better than that Jets defense. And they were on the road in San Francisco. Watching that Houston game, holy God, that team is loaded to the gills. I actually going to flip those two. I think the Vikings will beat the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. And I think they're going to get that Houston team looks for real. And that is a deep team. And I'm a little concerned about that game now.
That's fair. I mean, you want to look, if you're interested in doubting the Vikings, that's fine. You get to go that way. You want to move the goal line every show farther down. That's fine. Go right ahead. The tape is clear. No, I would agree. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to going on Sunday. I'll be there Sunday with a member of my family. So excited, with my son ready to go. We'll be sitting in my dad's seats again, just ready to cheer for the Vikings. It's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a tough game. But Vikings got a good streak going on at home. I think that they're going to be in a strong spot. I mean, against the 49ers. And so I think, again, on any given Sunday, it can happen. I will say to you, we laid out those first 4 games, and we got Houston, and then we got Green Bay. And again, I'm not saying I will say that we got to say a little something about the Packers, that they suffered. Their quarterback, Love, suffered a little bit of an injury. He's going to be back, but he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be ready by the Vikings game.
I would think there'd be a dumb game. Don't rush an MCL back, because you can I mean, as a person who has a daughter that tore both her ACLs, and I learned a lot about that whole structure of the knee and everything. Wait till it's healed, come back. I mean, 5 weeks really is about the minimum on that. If they rush him back in there, that's a decent defense for the Vikings. I don't want to see a player carted off the field. And I'm really concerned, in the same sense about Cousins, who clearly was gingerly working those legs. I don't want to see a guy get injured, and I'd be concerned if you brought him back too quickly that there could be a catastrophic injury. It could end his career.
Yes, and I don't want anyone to get hurt. I do want the Packers organization to fold, but I don't want anyone to get hurt in the process. So I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I want the Packers organization to fold. And there can be, so yeah, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but it's going to be fun. What I'm going to say to you is that a must-win game is already under the Vikings belt. And so the pressure's out of the way now.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little. Well, I think it's getting that first game under the belt as well, and getting the win, and getting a win convincingly. You come back here. Our run defense is a heck of a lot better than the New York Jets' run defense, at least from the games we saw. So I don't think that without Christian McCaffrey, they're going to be able to run the ball like they did against the Jets. Then it comes down to our secondary, which also looked really good. I'm going to. All right. So I'm going to pick this game. I will say 28-24 Vikes.
I'm going to go the same. I'm not going to break with streak. I'm not going to agree with you every week, but I think the Vikings are going to win because they have a good streak against the 49ers at home.
When we do the Green Bay game and you're like, it's going to be 90-0. And
the NFL commissioner is going to show up and fold the team right after the game. Yes, that's what my bet's going to be. But no, I think on the Vikings, that's a good bet. And I think the Vikings, for some reason, have particularly at home, have a very good history against the 49ers, and they're a good team. And so I'll be there cheering, and I hope it wins out. But again, I think that I think you added a fair dynamic on the Houston game. I stand by my position that the Vikings come out of these first 4 games 3-1. You have moved the goal line again, and now it's 2-2, but with a different 2-2.
Well, no, I actually think I'm now of the mindset it's going to be 3-1 too. I'll just keep moving. I'm going to move goalposts all over the place. The win of the Giants, how they won, convinced me that they do have a very legit chance against the 49ers. Because as you brought up, the Vikings play the 49ers pretty good. A lot of teams can't play them at all, Jets, but the Vikings play them well. So I think they got a chance. That Houston game, gosh, that's going to be the Vikings, if they win this game this weekend and then they go down there, that's going to be a monster game already on the schedule, the Houston-Minnesota game.
It is. And the Vikings play teams that sometimes make me nervous. And the 49ers, they have a pretty good record again. Seattle is a perfect example of a team that I don't think the Vikings play very well against.
Yep.
And so, so I always worry when it's Seattle, I get a little nervous. But 49ers, I feel good about it. It's at home. It's going to be a great crowd, good introduction, new season, home opener, 49ers. We're not going to have, who did we lose? We lose Addison.
Addison's out because of his injury. Yeah.
Addison's out because of his injury, but we'll see where it goes. I think that the Vikings are just, again, we're in one of these seasons where I think we got the hope building already because we had all these feelings. And that's what's so great about being a Vikings fan is you watch that game and, you said it was must win. And I believed you because I believe every game's a must win, but it was just fun. That atmosphere is back and the Vikings are finding ways to win. And I have to say to you, I give a lot of credit to head coach Connell. I think he's great. I like his spirit. I like his enthusiasm. I like his leadership on the sidelines. And what Darnold did was not a small feat.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's going to be, speaking of folding teams, the New York Giants. That could be a team that's gone by the end of this season.
Yeah, that's a tough game.
That is a tough game. Michael Broadcorp, we'll see how we do this weekend. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the time today.
Thank you as always. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Take care. Michael Broadcorp, our Vikings expert. We're both picking the Vikings over the San Francisco 49ers, 28-24. We'll see. Hey, we were right last week. Let's give it a shot. We'll take a break. Come on back. Get some dancing again before the weekend. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Friday.
This is Aidan Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire. If you have a loved one who's in need of a memory care facility, I encourage you to come look at our facilities in either Bloomington or Medina to come and see the Wellshire difference. From our 24/7 nursing to robust activities team, come and see our community of well-being in action by visiting wellshiremn.com and scheduling a tour at either one of our facilities. That's wellshiremn.com.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners that use social media. Do you want an authentic way to connect with people in your life? Something more meaningful? Thousands of people just like you know that when it matters, count on Minuteman Uptown for custom quality digital prints. From Canva creations to self-published books, from business cards to banners and signs, we print everything. Find more information at mpuptown.com. Contact Minuteman Uptown today, and we'll help you connect to what matters.
The future of car shopping is here right now at Rudy Luther Toyota with Luther Direct. It's car shopping without ever leaving your home. Go to rudyluthertoyota.com and click on the Luther Direct button. Choose any vehicle in Rudy Luther Toyota's current inventory, either new or certified pre-owned. Then find out your trade-in's value, review a payment plan you qualify for and customize it, and then set up a time for Rudy Luther to drop off your new vehicle and pick up your trade-in. It's that simple. Your new vehicle without any of the hassle. Check out Luther Direct today at rudyluthertoyota.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, so thanks all, Michael Broadcorp, all the guests. Thanks for being here this week. We'll be back on Monday. Our dance song this weekend, I got to explain this really quick. It's called Cabin Crew is the band. Liz Donovarna Crew. Okay, this is basically a school project from a school in Ireland. These are all young kids, and these young kids in this school project put together one of the best dance songs I've ever heard in my life. It's called The Spark. Let's take it. We are heading on out for the weekend. Have a fantastic weekend. Native Roots Radio is up next. We are back on a Monday. Until then, see ya.
Think you can stop what we do? I doubt it. We've got the energy, we'll tell you all about it. I searched for my spark and I found it. Everybody in the crowd start bouncing. Think you can stop what we do? I doubt it. We've got the energy, we'll tell you all about it. I searched for my spark and I found it. Everybody in the crowd start bouncing. Making bangles at a young age. My pen setting fire to the page. I will show you how to rock that stage. Listen to this in the car, you'll be getting road rage. Listen up, cause what we do every day is decent. Cabin crew on stop on top of every playlist. If we see a dream, you know we're gonna chase it. So get over any fear, you have to face it.
That's my passion and I couldn't live without it. You can do it like we do it, don't doubt it. Any obstacle, we find a way around it. If you're
Minnesota Recovery Connection is inviting everyone to join their annual Walk for Recovery on Saturday, September 21st.